Khris Davis here on the Rich Eisen Show. He plays Big George Foreman exclusively in theaters this Friday. When you first got the opportunity, or you knew you had an opportunity to play George Foreman, you thought what?
It's a huge responsibility. I mean, I was a little nervous because I didn't want to mess it up, you know, and we're talking about not just somebody who you're doing a biopic about, you're talking about an icon over the span of several different generations. And he's not just the grill guy, he's got a huge fight legacy, you know. And then I had no idea when I came into the job that he had a religious background, a religious part of his life. That's a lot to cover.
Yeah.
And we're going to cover the span of several decades.
Yes.
So how do I do it, right? And you get it, and you don't really know how you're going to go about it, but you just start eating the elephant one bite at a time.
And what'd you learn?
I learned everything about Mr. Foreman. When I first got the script, what I knew about him was that he was the grill guy, and he was the guy who lost to Ali. That's about as far as it went. You know? So.
And by the way, I totally get that. How old are you?
I mean, I don't want to say.
But you're a young man.
I'm not old enough to remember his first career. And
I'm 53, and it's it's kind of hazy in my head too.
Yeah,
Chris,
so going back and reading his autobiographies and watching as much footage on him as I could, it was all so eye-opening to me who he was, because I did, as a fight fan, always wonder when I was watching that Rumble in the Jungle, who that guy was, right? I had my own feelings about the fight, you know, in regards to what the ref was doing or wasn't doing, right? And I was curious. So having the opportunity to go back and dig deep on who this guy was, man, I was floored by his experience in life, you know. How
much were you exposed to the real George Foreman? How much contact did you have with
so
George?
I went and I met him.
Okay.
Yeah, and I spent 3 days in Houston with him, which is incredible.
You go to his house?
So I had gone down there because, you know, I had seen so much film. I had read the autobiographies.
Yeah.
But we're not doing a movie about interviews. You know what I mean? If we're going to do just a bunch of vignettes of Mr. Foreman's interviews, then fine. Then maybe I don't need to talk to him. But we're not. We're doing a movie about his personal experience, his human experience.
Yeah.
So I wanted to go meet him, you know, not to extract anything else from him other than what his natural state of being was.
And so what happened?
I wrote down a whole bunch of questions.
You wrote them down?
I wrote down, you know, I'm not a media guy, but I knew that I had to ask him something.
Right.
Man, I had all these questions. I got in front of Mr. Foreman, and all I could do was stare at the guy. That's all I could do was stare at the guy, because I couldn't believe that I'm actually sitting in front of Mr. George Foreman.
Right.
The legacy that he had, you know, as a fighter. I had read his books. Now I know.
Yes.
Now I know who he is, what he's done. Man, I couldn't talk. And something in the back of my mind was like, Chris, ask him a question. I was, Mr. Foreman, and I'm trying to ask him these questions, but I couldn't. And I'm just watching him talk, and he's trying to find things to keep saying to me. And really, I listened back to some of the tape, right?
Yeah.
And I had like this high-pitched tone as I was talking to him. Like, so yeah, Mr. Foreman. So I don't know where that came from.
Did he think you were doing the Tyson movie instead?
I don't know, man. But I didn't know that I was doing that. But maybe that was my nerves, or maybe I was just overthinking that. I didn't want him to think that I was some corny dude who was gonna take on his life story, because I wanted him to know more than anything that I was serious, and that I was going to treat it with as much care and delicacy as I possibly could.
Because you had to think he's sizing you up, too.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was wild.
All right. Now I'm mandated to ask you, did he cook you something on the grill?
No, he did not. No, he did not.
Because I would have walked in there, okay, where's the grill?
Where's the grill? Actually, I didn't want to ask him about the grill.
Because
I didn't want to ask him any, like...
Because it's too unserious.
Yeah.
I understand.
Yeah, and I really wanted him to know that I was taking it serious.
Yes.
And I wanted him to take me serious, as well as somebody who's going to be doing my job, the job. So I didn't want to, yeah.
I get it. I'm just an unserious person.
No.
I'm just being an unserious person with you. But because again, he is, it's pop culture, right? It's more than just a fight game with him.
Right.
He's a total pop culture icon.
Absolutely.
In many ways. Certainly when he comes back and then he does it again. I mean, the oldest, or the most aged heavyweight champion in the whole.
Come back and do it.
Right, to ever do it.
I mean, I don't think when you hear it, right? And unless you're 35, let's say 35.
Yeah.
And you think about sitting at home, you haven't played a sport since you were in your 20s, and you're 35 now, and you say to yourself, I'm going to go and be a pro.
Yeah.
At this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like sitting in the house, I played football years ago growing up.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be like me sitting in the house saying, hey, you know what? I think I'm going to go to the combine. I think I'm gonna be in the NFL. I want to do it. God told me that I'm going to go to the NFL and be a top tier tight end.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy. That's nuts. And he did that. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And I think that people need to understand just how miraculous this dude's story is. I mean, even winning the gold medal at the 68 Olympics. You're talking about a kid who never gloved up before. Now, we know fighting, right?
Mm-hmm.
Never gloved up before. From the first day he put gloves on and sparred, a year later, he won gold at the Olympics.
Unbelievable.
Come on, man. That's an impossibility. That's an impossibility, for real. Sure, you work hard, you become heavyweight champ, right? Mm-hmm. There's a lot of work that goes into that. You can't take that away from him. But he did have these really miraculous, and it's in the story title for that reason, really miraculous moments that are rather impossible in any other circumstance.
Yeah. Big George Foreman in theaters near you exclusively this Friday. The man who plays George Foreman, Khris Davis, is here on the Rich Eisen Show. What was it? I mean, you were talking about the moment you meet George Foreman. What about hearing that Forest Whitaker is going to be in this film? What about that one for you?
That one was a big one for me because, I grew up watching Mr. Whitaker.
Sure.
Grew up respecting his legacy as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt humbled because, he came into this job in a sense kind of to uplift not just Mr. Foreman's legacy and things like that, but he was there uplifting me, and he didn't have to do that.
How do you do that? What do you mean?
Well, he's Mr. Whitaker. He should be number one on the call sheet. And I'm number one on the call sheet. Man, what a grace to be able to come in and just say, I'm going to do this and support this young actor.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, man. I didn't take that for granted. So I wanted him also to know that I was serious and that I wanted to show up for him too.
Yes.
When we were doing our scenes. So I didn't want him to feel like he had to pick up my slack or anything. I wanted him to know that I'm able to hold my own so that you can continue to shine as Mr. Whitaker, and that that we can do this together as a team. I wanted to be a proper teammate for Mr. Whitaker. I didn't want him to ever doubt that I wasn't showing up.
Did you ever communicate that to him, or you just did it with your work?
I told him thank you.
You did?
Yeah, I told him thank you immediately. I told him that because I needed him to know that I wasn't just walking in there feeling like, I'm the man and you here busting it down behind me. Never that.
You didn't call him old like Dylan
I didn't
Brooks
call him old. No, sir.
Okay.
No, sir. Well, he did tell me to not call him Mr. Whitaker, so I apologize. I apologize for it. I said
it. You did call him Mr. Whitaker on the set?
Yeah, man. Yeah, because I wanted to show deference, he put in 40 years in the game.
Mm-hmm.
That's deference. I got to show deference to that. That's earned. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Same thing with Mr. Foreman. I'm not going to walk around calling him George Foreman. We didn't go to high school together. That's not my elementary school buddy. You know what I mean? I got to show some deference.
We go to high school together.
I love that. I've got Khris Davis here on the Rich Eisen Show. So you're from Camden, New Jersey?
Yes.
Okay. That's way down south, and that's
South
right across.
Jersey.
That's right across from Philadelphia.
Right across from Philly, yeah.
So you're Philly sports, or
Philly sports?
Okay.
Yeah.
So the Eagles were going on their Super Bowl run this year. Was something you were
that was great.
Fired up about?
That was great. I mean, it was cool that I got to see them do it twice or 3 times.
Yes, that's true.
And the first time was with McNabb.
Yep.
Leading the charge, and Andy Reid. And that was a tough one for a lot of different reasons. I had a lot of feelings about the way that the team was behaving.
With T.O. and...
Yeah, and that whole T.O. and McNabb energy, that was hurtful because it was like, we're here. That's when you squash it. That's when you go for it. you know, and I think that did play a part, you know, and in the media, it was real heavy. You remember, it was real heavy.
Hey,
and
Chris, let me tell you something.
Yeah.
After that Super Bowl, that was the second one NFL Network covered. And we flew from Jacksonville, which is where the game took place, all the way to the Pro Bowl in Hawaii. And it took, you know, the full day. And this was way before, you know, Twitter was on cell phones and anything like that. So I had no idea that T.O. had called out McNabb for vomiting in the huddle towards the end of that game.
Yeah.
And so we showed up at the Pro Bowl for NFL Network, and we're setting up for a show because the Eagles were coming the next day. I had no idea what was going on there. And we had McNabb and Terrell Owens together, slated to be interviewed together. And then about an hour before the interview was taking place, we were told neither would come if both were going to be there.
Amazing.
And we kind of looked at each other like, what is up with that? They just played in a Super Bowl. And T.O., with his leg basically reconstructed, dominated. He had an incredible game.
Yes.
So I remember we were stunned that there was something going on there. And to your point, it was definitely simmering.
Yeah,
it was definitely happening.
Philly fans are rough on their sports teams when they're not behaving properly, you know. But after that, you know, it's not a personal thing that I was saying, but you know, everybody started calling McNabb Willie Beeman. You know, started calling him Willie Beeman, and people were hurt by the fact that they couldn't squash whatever they had going on to bring home Chip. Now, when Foles got there, you know, nobody expected that to happen.
Nope.
You talk about, I heard, what's her name was just talking about an underdog story.
Yeah.
Now that was the underdog story. You know, all these old cats, nobody expected them to win. We got Nick Foles in there. And didn't he perform, man? You talk about a Rudy moment, you know, and I was there. I was there when they won. Now, I'm an Eagles fan. I'm cool if we lose. I'm used to us getting to the really high point and then falling back. I get it. I'm still a fan. But this time felt different. So I went and
You went to Minnesota?
No. I went and I got myself a hotel ticket in Philadelphia, right? For when they were going to, you know, go to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So I got myself a hotel ticket in Philadelphia because I know it was going to get crazy if we won. Right? I knew it. It was going to get crazy. But nobody was buying hotel tickets because nobody expected us to win. So the whole hotel room was like $30 a night in Center City, Philadelphia. Wow. Yeah, it was crazy. Like $30 a night, right? So I had this hotel room and I had just finished a job and I was like, you know, if we lose, I have the hotel room and I can go see family in Camden.
Yeah.
I don't care. It's all good. So I get down there and we're watching the game. And to the last second, it was like nobody could breathe. We were winning.
Yeah.
But nobody wanted to jinx it, right? And the moment we won, everybody started screaming. We walked outside. And you know, if you're in Philadelphia, if you've ever been, Center City Hall is right in the middle of this circle.
Yeah.
Right? So you walk out and it was like being on a movie set. It was like a movie. We walked outside, we were all cheering from inside the hotel. And then suddenly from either side of the building of City Hall,
it just came.
Swarms of people started coming. It was like a movie, man. And people were out there. It was thousands of people. And I'm out there. People started climbing light poles, telephone poles. It was nuts, man. And when I knew it was time to go home, was when I started seeing beer cans go. I said, "Okay, y'all, I'm out. I'm gonna see y'all later, man.
It wasn't
it's getting crazy out here."
It wasn't when the horses got punched.
Yes, man, it was crazy. It was wild, man, but it was a beautiful experience. So I was excited that we went back again.
And now you've got Jalen Hurts leading the show. I mean, I love that guy.
Yeah.
I love everything about him. I love the way he carries himself. I love the way he speaks. I love the way he plays. I love the way he leads. I love his heart. I love his mind. I love his soul. I love the whole damn thing.
I agree.
All of it. Like he's a dream come true. He's what you want to have as your quarterback.
I agree. I think that this team is overall, I think it's probably the best like complete squad that we've had in a long time.
I agree. Even the Super Bowl team.
I'm really happy with this team. And you know, Jalen Hurts and I are actually frat brothers. I don't know him personally, but we are in the same fraternity. So I have a lot of love and support for him.
Which is that? Which one?
Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated.
Okay.
Yeah, so I have a lot of love and support for him, and I look forward to seeing much more of his success. You know, him getting this offer to be paid. You know, I mean, I'm wanting this for him. I'm wanting this for him. You know.
Yeah,
big time.
He deserves
He does.
He deserves it all. He deserves it all. Are you a Sixer fan too, or not so much?
I am a Sixers fan. I'm a Sixers fan.
So is TJ, the man behind you from Altoona, Pennsylvania, too.
Oh, word.
You and
Word. Yeah, I'm a Sixers fan. And like I told you back there, you know, I didn't grow up a Sixers fan. You know, my dad is a Lakers fan. And, you know, I grew up watching Kobe.
Well, he's Philly,
Shaq.
right?
Yeah. I didn't even know that until much later.
Okay.
You know?
All right.
So, yeah, I mean, I grew up a Lakers fan. And then once Kobe retired, you know, it was like, you know, just it's time to be a hometown boy. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Yeah, for sure.
I got you. Well, this is fun, Chris. This has been a fun conversation. Big George Foreman exclusively in theaters this Friday. I know TJ you want to ask about Atlanta?
Yeah, I just, you know, Atlanta was such a great show, man. And when you came on to Atlanta, the way I kind of described your character, man, was kind of like, this was like Bra Man from Martin, but kind of like a little bit more dangerous than Bra Man. So what was it like for you just to work on the set? Because, you know, we talked about Brian Tyree Henry earlier. Of course, Donald Glover is amazing. What was it like?
It was nice. I mean, so I have a theater background, you know, so I've done a lot of theater. I've been on Broadway, just finished a Broadway run of Death of a Salesman in January, you know, and that was crazy. Playing Biff on Broadway was nuts.
I bet.
Yeah, but I have a theater background, and that was my first time really doing a show where I had that much responsibility. So my first day going in, you know, I felt a little tense, you know, because sometimes the directors don't give you a lot of flexibility when you're doing TV, or at least back then. And the director walked up to me, man, and he said, "Chris, you from theater? You do theater, right?" I said, "Yeah, you know." And he said, "Well, look, just do whatever you want. And if I see something that's a little crazy, I'll come and we'll talk about it." Man, he took the reins off of me, and I just cut it loose. And I wanted, more than anything, that Tracy was likable. I needed him to be understood on a human level, right? Rather than being like just a bruh man or somebody that you could poke fun at. I'm a firm believer that every character, whether they're a real person like Mr. Foreman or a made-up character like Tracy, represents somebody, right? If they come from my mind and then they're put on paper, that's from an experience that a human had. And we're telling a human experience. So I wanted people like Tracy to be seen and to be respected, for people to know that, you know, when you're walking through a Walmart and you see somebody that looks like Tracy, or you're, you know, or you're on a train in New York and you see somebody who looks like Tracy, know that person has a lot of love too. And that person has their own experiences. That person has the need for joy and connection as well. So I wanted Tracy to have all of those things through all the crazy circumstances that he was going through on the show. And I didn't know that people were going to relate to Tracy that well. I just wanted Tracy to just be a full, flushed out human being, person, like everybody else on the show. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And people really related to Tracy, and I think everybody knows a Tracy. I know a Tracy. You know what I mean? You know a Tracy.
Yeah, of course.
You know a Tracy. You know a Tracy. And you know a Tracy. We all know a Tracy. And I wanted Tracy to have the Tracys of our lives to have some representation and to be shown some love, man.
Do you got a Donald Glover story going out the door?
A Donald Glover story? I mean, other than the fact that I had to whoop on him in the show.
That's a good one.
No, there's an episode where I beat up Donald Glover, and that was a lot of fun. You know, him and I rolling around. And the thing about Donald was, you know, sure, we could have used stunt people, but we didn't. So me and him just were like, we're just going to go. So me and him, we understood the choreography. We understood the stunts, and we did it together. And he was going the distance, and I was going the distance. So I have a lot of respect for the willingness to trust me, you know, and to go there, you know, because not everybody will.
I've never met him, but you must have a few inches on him, right?
Quite a few. Quite a few. But that's how you do it. You go the distance, you know, just like with this film.
Sure.
I gained all the weight. I gained 50 pounds in 5 weeks. I went from 225 to 275 in 5 weeks.
Did you enjoy that?
No, I ate 7,000 calories a day to do it.
What are you eating?
I did it all pescatarian. Right. No dairy, no sugar, didn't eat any beef, pork, or chicken. Did it all pescatarian,
And
clean.
You gained weight that way?
Gained weight. Yeah, so 7,000 calories on a pescatarian diet. All the fight scenes, I didn't use no stunt doubles, nothing. Nobody threw a punch from me. Nobody took a punch from me. That is my bald head. That's my afro. I did every single thing that you see. That was me, man. And we also made contact. We were striking in this film. You know, I've been calling it sparring plus. You know what I mean? So, yeah, so Donald, I believe, is a person like that, right? Mm-hmm. Who can go the distance like that, too. So it was cool to meet somebody like that on set and to be willing to do that.
What a pleasure chatting with you, Khris Davis.
Yeah,
come back anytime. Seriously, this is the first of hopefully many times. Come back anytime with whatever you're doing.
Thanks, Rich.
What a pleasure to meet you and chat with you, and for you to be as successful as you're becoming, and then also have the sensibility to get out when beer cans are flying in Philadelphia. I think you've got the winning combination. I think you've got the sensibility and the forthrightness.
Rich, maybe next time the Cowboys beat up on the Eagles, Chris can call in and just tell us how he's feeling
you need
about
to stop.
the situation. You know,
you need to stop it back there. The level of disrespect. See, I can't see you. You're talking behind my back, literally.
I love it. Our touring studio guests pissed off by the Dallas Cowboy fan. Kate Mara with the Giants, and now obviously an Eagle fan, and Khris Davis. Big George Foreman is in theaters exclusively this Friday, starring Khris Davis and Forest Whitaker in theaters near you. Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.